Hello and welcome back to the Fish Locker out on the shore. Now what I'm doing today is I'm actually out recceing out a mark for upcoming sessions. I've brought my lure gear with me. This is going to be predominantly a lure fishing mark. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through briefly about the criteria that I use when I'm picking marks, how I'm finding them. I'm going to put a few bits into here to show you the different bits of kit that I use, the different apps, the different sites, that type of thing, where I find them at home. And then I'm out now doing the legwork. So what I'll do is I'll put it in here. There are two main tools that I use when looking for things online. One of them is Navionics web app. That is a great tool to use. You can use it wherever you are in the country. I will say, for instance, if I have an area of coast that I want to look at, so if I know that I'm getting northerly wind which is coming in this direction, I want to be fishing somewhere on the south coast. If I've got a southerly wind, I'm going to fish somewhere on the north coast. So we'll pick an area out of the sky. Right, we will look at that headland there, Traverse Head. Immediately you can see by these charts, when it's little patches like this, that means it's broken ground. That means it's rough ground, rocky ground, because the height of the seabed varies up and down. When you're looking at an area like this where it's got long smooth lines, that will generally tell you that that is going to be sand. So this area here that you're looking at, immediately you can see this green line here shows you where the low tide line, lowest chart datum will be. Then it'll show you there'll be sand, and then further offshore it'll be rocks. One of the ways you can cross-reference this is by looking onto Google Maps. The area that we were looking at around here, can you see how the contour lines are very close together? That means that it will be dropping off into deep water close in there. So it drops off to 10 and 12 meters very quickly and on rocky ground. You will be able to cross-reference that against Google Maps. The area, as you can see, rocky ground, drops off quickly into deep water. When you look at an area like this, where, like I said, there are gentle sloping contour lines, you know that's going to be sand. Cross-reference it against the map. There is an area of sand, you see. So when I'm looking for an area fishing for wrasse and pollock, Park Head, it looks very rocky and it gets quite deep close in. We'll have a look. Park Head, very rocky with deep water close in. So by cross-referencing Navionics web app and Google Maps, you can see straight away that this is rough and rocky ground, ideal for wrasse, possibly bass. And from Google Maps, all you need to do is you can find out where your nearest point of access would be. So you would possibly park up somewhere like that, or even here, National Trust Car Park, and you can plan your route from there. Now that I'm out doing the legwork, what I'm going to do is I have brought a little bit of my lure gear with me, and I'll show you what I'd bring. Now, ultimately, this type of fishing is very light, as in you do not bring an awful lot with you. You travel quick, you're moving around, you're not carrying a tripod, you're not carrying two beach casters, you're not carrying a load of bait or weights. It's going to be all of my lure gear that I ever bring is in a box like this. And the reason I put it in a box like this is because if it falls over or if it hits anything, it doesn't all fall out all over the place. I've got a tight fitting lid. Fits on it. This is my current lure setup, and I think it's a 4 to 27 gram, 7 to 24. It's a good job I checked, wasn't it? 7 to 24 gram lure rod, and I've got a Penn Clash 2 3000 loaded with 30-pound braid. Now, if you get a good braid, it's very low diameter, and I've got a fluoro leader. You will notice on all of my reels, except my mullet or my coarse fishing reels, that I always have braid and I always have either a mono or a fluoro rubbing leader. Then what I do is I connect with one of those twisting snap swivels. I'm not sure the exact name of them. I'll research it and I'll put it in. I just know them as like a twisty snap. And this is one of my favourite lures. I must admit, I only really have 4 or 5 different types of lures that I use. Soft plastics mainly. There are several different types of lures that you can use. Generally I like to break them up into metals and hard plastics, soft plastics. For different species, if I'm going to be fishing for pollock, generally I'm going to be fishing on a deep water rock mark. Pollock like it where it's snaggy but it's deep. For them I'll either be fishing metals or I'll be fishing soft plastics, and you fish them straight. What I mean by that is you can either connect them straight to your leader or you can have something in between. So fishing for pollock, I'll always fish straight to my leader. Swivel to lure. Doesn't matter if it's going to be one of my sandale ones or a spinner. Now what I'll do with mine is, my spinners, I call them a spinner. Other people might have other names. It's basically, it's a little metal lure, often fitted with a treble hook. I use these for mackerel mainly. If I'm going to be fishing for things like pollock or bass, where I'm going to be returning them, then I change out the treble hook and I put a single hook. If I'm fishing for bass, I will fish a single barbless hook. I put a lot of my own lures, I put a lot of my own hooks on my own lures, and what I use is like a size 2/0 chino, and I just crush the barb a little bit. But what I keep these in is, this is in no way an endorsement of this specific type. If you can get these that twist, great. If you don't, these work fine. And all I do is pop the lid, keep my lures in them. So metals, cheap spinners, Tobies, Dexter wedges, they're all the same type of thing. Moving on to soft plastics, I like natural colours. Saying that, I don't know anything in nature that's got rainbow colours on, but I know these catch fish. Generally what I will do is I will have natural colours, sandale, white, silver, that type of thing. Even these twin tails in white and green. They catch me pollock and bass. That, if I'm going to be coming down and I'm going to be airing out an area for pollock and bass, that is the type of lures that I'll take. Some people might prefer different ones. I prefer natural colours for pollock and bass. If I'm going to be coming somewhere fishing for wrasse, I have had a lot of success with different types of rigs. Anybody that's not familiar, there are 2 different types of rigs that generally you can use. One of them is called the Carolina rig, one of them is called the Texas rig. Showing you really quickly and really simply, Texas rig, Texas rigging. What you will have is possibly connected to your main line with a twisty snap like that, and then you'll have a separate rig with a barrel swivel on, whatever length you want. This is like a foot of 15-pound fluoro, and you have a little bullet lead that sits right in front of the hook. So onto this hook I might connect a little wrasse jig, a little wrasse lure, sorry. Wrasse will have anything. Wrasse are very aggressive, so I've found that bright colours, so like pinks and yellows and oranges, whites, wrasse go for these. So if I'm going to fish this Texas style, what I'll do is I'll just nick it through there like that, and I will fish it like that. Or you could even fish this weedless style in that you slide it up the hook. And you fish it like that. All that weedless means really is that the point of the hook is hidden, so that if you're running over weeds it doesn't get snagged. But if a fish picks it up, it will pull it down and it will find the hook point. So Texas rigging has the lead on the hook. Carolina rigging, you have a separate little locked in lead in front of your hook, like that. So Carolina rig, Texas rig. I've found both of those absolutely nail wrasse. Also for wrasse, if I'm fishing an area of rock mark where it's pretty sheer, as in like you'll have cliff and then it'll drop down to being over 10 feet, and then it'll all be rocky. If you can fish straight up and down by a rock ledge, drop shotting will work really well for wrasse. I've not done so well. I've caught tiny pollock on it before, but they were flukes. I don't generally find I catch any bass, mackerel, pollock, anything like that drop shotting. The only things that I've caught drop shotting from the shore are wrasse. And a drop shotting rig, very simply, is a lead. It's like a paternoster, but with no boom. All you do is you connect your little hook directly onto your main trace, and you will hook on a little tiny lure, just like that. And it's fished vertically, just up and down next to the rock ledge. And all you're doing is you're just dipping the rod tip so it dances in the water. Good in coarse fishing as well for things like perch. I've nailed a lot of perch on drop shotting. Like I say, I've only ever really had wrasse when I've been sea fishing. So straight to the line, being soft plastics, hard plastics and metals, spinners, then connected into something like a Texas rig, a Carolina rig, or a drop shot. I would, if I'm coming out to recce out a mark like this, I only ever really bring 2 or 3 types of lures. I'll bring a spinner so that I can cast it at distance, because they're small and they're heavy for their size, so they're good for casting. If you've got a bit of a wind in your face, casting a soft plastic lure like this, I mean this is 27 grams, it doesn't fly very well into the wind, whereas a spinner will still punch through it. Drop shotting, you want to be right down by your feet, and then Carolina rig or Texas rig, you can cast them out and just wind them, give them a little bit of a flick. Now I'm going to run down here. I will try to get to a mark at low tide if I'm going to be exploring it, just because I want to be able to see what it's like. You'll generally be able to see more of what the seabed's like at low tide. You might not be able to see it all if it's too deep, but you'll be able to see where high points are, or you'll be able to see where the eddies create. That's enough talking. I'm going to go and see if I can get the rod out. Simple straight cast and retrieve works well with these soft plastics, but by letting the lure sink you can experiment with different depths. First cast, wait 2 seconds before reeling in. The next cast, wait 3 seconds, and so on. Try casting to different areas to search out the water. I think of it like hours on a clock. I start first cast at 10, next cast 11, then 12, and so on. When you wait and snag the bottom, you know you've waited too long. Next time, wait less time before winding in. So for example, if you've waited for 5 seconds and you snag the bottom, the next time only wait 4 seconds before reeling in. One of the things you might notice in my videos is that I'm constantly looking around for things like birds and seals, because they might show me where the fish are. But also, and especially on an open rock mark like this, is you need to be aware of what the sea is doing. You can get freak big waves, and when you get them, you need to get out of the way. One of the great tools that we now have at our disposal are drones. Here you can see I'm able to track right along the coast, highlighting any ledges, any boulders, any little caves. Or in this shot, where I can see a perfect little gully between the island at the centre left and the little submerged one right at the top. This also shows the area of slack water to the right hand side. You'll notice it's really calm, whereas the rest of it is being stirred up. Fish will hold up there on that slack side of the island. This shot shows you a nice little tidal crease. You can literally follow the trail of foam along the water. This is where the tide is running. at that. Fantastic Pollack and Wrasse. Taking on a Texas rig. A little pinky. Look at that fish. What a cracking, what a stunning wrasse. The colours on it. Let's get it in a rock pool and we'll get it unhooked. Then, oh, the colours on that tail as well. Oh, let's get it up here and get it hooked. Right, we've got him recovering here in this pool. What an incredible fish that is. Smashed that little pinky, didn't he? Well, it is a real good stocky fish. Look at them colours under there. What a massive tail and massive fins. Proper scrapping fish. Down you go. Don't know what he weighs, but he'll be up there towards £4. Cracking fish. Right, we'll get him unhooked and we'll get him back. No messing around, straight down into the kelp. You can see here, there's a bit of weed around the edge, but that's a sheer drop. There's a rock there, look, with a bit of kelp around it, but that's a deep patch, and this goes straight down. So there will be caves, there will be holes underneath here and here. You can see there's a rock there where the kelp is, but the rest of this is just that rock there will go straight down. There's a little bit of kelp and it's clear. So fishing from areas like this, or like this here, I can see there's a rock out there. In here is sheer straight down. So fishing with a drop shot round here, and I can see there's a dark patch there, so there's a rock there. So I'll be able to fish straight down into there, straight round here with a drop shot. Now this is all I'm going to be using here. Just a little bright yellow on a chinook for the drop shot. Didn't quite get the camera on in time. You can see it down there, can't you? Finding somewhere to land it. Just have to bite the bullet, Anna. Wow, that is a cracking fish. Look at that. What a beauty. Taking on the yellow drop shot, just exactly like I was saying, just down the side. I don't know if the chest cam will have got it. What a lovely, would you call that orange? Would you call it ginger? Would you call it rusty? With a cracking wrasse. See all those fins up on the top? I've got a spike in them, so you've got to be careful. What a beautiful fish. Well, you can see just taking on a yellow wiggle leaf on the drop shot. Just exactly like I showed you. Let's get this unhooked, recovered in that pole, and then we'll get it back. There it goes. There we are. We're coming to the end of the session now. We're getting the last of the light and it's starting to get a little bit cold. I hope this has been interesting for you. I hope it's given you a bit of an insight into how I discover and how I develop new fishing marks. Because it's very, very rare that I'll walk straight up to a new mark and I'll catch good fish on it straight away. There's an awful lot of legwork that goes in behind the scenes. The little bit of fishing that you see on a video looks really good. There's a lot of legwork leading up to that mark, whether or not it's searching online and then it's recceing out, and then finally I might fish it at low tide up and it might do poor, and I'll fish it high tide down and it'll be better, and then that'll be when I'll do a session. So this was a recce out. This mark has an awful lot of potential, but I'm thinking it's going to be more this summer. First light might fish really well for bass because there's an awful lot of ambush points. I got the drone up and hopefully I'll be able to show you where like a back eddy is around the back of a rock. I think that's going to produce. There was a seal sat there today as well, so that's another sign. But middle of winter like this, I managed to winkle out 2 fantastic wrasse. One on a Texas rig and one on a drop shot. So I was over the moon. Yeah, fantastic fun on this light low setup. It's just goes to show. I travel light as you need to. It's very difficult to make a video of this because you're constantly moving. I hope it's shown up in the video okay. All the very best. Take it easy. We will see you later.